purpose of the symbol project was to take the use of symbols out of special ed and speech language therapy into the mainstream setting. For the pilot part of the project, we identified 12 schools that we thought would be interested, and that covered from nursery through to primary and to departments of additional support within secondary. After we'd run the pilot scheme and taken on board all their suggestions about how we could improve things or what would help them, we ran things like coordinator support meetings and evaluation visits. We had to break down the project into sort of 3 stages, which made it easier for schools who were starting from absolutely scratch to be able to sort of target areas to begin with. When schools saw that it actually wasn't rocket science, it was only taking on board things that good teachers have always done, using visual strategies of some kind to support children's understanding, their recall, their organisation, their comprehension, all of that. But the difference between that and our symbols project was that we were using one specific set of symbols throughout the school. For lots of children, we discovered that consistency was really important, because if they were going into a class where a teacher had used fantastic visual strategies and then they went into the classroom next door whose teacher was similarly using fantastic visual strategies but they were all different, then a child who was having difficulty perhaps with reading or whatever, that made it equally difficult because they were going to have to start and learn a whole set of new visuals to support that again. Whereas if they were used consistently throughout the school for the basic, labelling, etc., then those children had no difficulties with transition. I think the benefits have just outgrown anything we ever thought about. And teachers very quickly picked up this and just ran with it. And some of the symbol resources that teachers have come up with have just been absolutely fantastic. One of the cluster groups came up with a sort of booklet explaining some of the tenets of the assessment is for learning, so that parents understood when children came home with work. So again, the symbols were used to give a shared understanding of what that was for both the children and the teachers, and perhaps more importantly, or as importantly, for the parents as well. We chose Mayor Johnson Boardmaker symbols for a variety of reasons. The PCS symbols are so clear, they're so simply drawn, they're uncluttered. You've got the flexibility of having coloured symbols where that's suitable, of having black and white symbols. So it's such a flexible symbol set. You can join 2 or 3 or more, as many symbols as you want, to enhance the understanding of a child using that symbol. The software itself is actually very simple to use, and we find that even for both ranges, we do have people who come in who barely know how to switch a PC on, and we have people who've been using PCs for a long time and have even been using Boardmaker sometimes for a long time. There are loads of templates there. There's a huge range of symbols to choose from. The other thing that has been really useful in my job, because my service is a cradle-to-grave service, and we're using them with children in mainstream, we're taking them into the secondary sector, and that's beginning to be rolled out into the mainstream secondary sector. So therefore, they're age appropriate too. The symbols can be used throughout all the ages, and I've seen adults very happily use them to support their communication and their understanding. The teachers in Fife have just become so involved in it and so creative in their thinking, and so many of them now have embedded it into their daily practice that they don't even see it as an extra add-on, it's just how they now think.
We use Boardmaker symbols wherever we can. It allows all of the children to feel included in everything that we're doing in school. We would use the same symbol from nursery all the way through, and I think that's part of the success of having your environment symbolised, because when a child learns one symbol, they know that that's the same symbol it will always mean that same thing. It's just become so much part and parcel of our school that it's not an add-on.
The teachers were enthusiastic about it, and they saw how much the children took from it and how much it could be used across the curriculum.
We have children who are in mainstream classes who have an additional support need of one description. There's a very wide range, and for those children, if they have any kind of learning need at all, then symbols are the way forward for them. With Boardmaker, and symbols, we've got a ready-made resource. So any teacher looking at that will say, I could use that somewhere, somehow. As a teacher, I think that it's very user-friendly. From a child's perspective, it's also very user-friendly and, again, non-threatening and accessible. The thing about Boardmaker is that it does allow the school to customise things for their own environment.
I like to use symbols in learning because I like to be good at reading and writing and drawing. My favourite symbol is the RE one. All the symbols are my favourite. They show you pictures and I just like them.
It's the children themselves now who do the visual timetable because they're so familiar with the symbols now. They're able to tell the rest of the group what's happening that day.
We have some parents with special needs, so this has greatly helped them as well. Everything we do for sending a newsletter home, even through mainstream, these are all symbolised, so it helps everybody.
Parents are beginning to ask us now. We had to do a social story for someone who wouldn't take his jacket off when the weather became nicer, and he couldn't do that, so we wrote a social story for him so that, you know, he understood. And once you symbolise it all, it makes children understand so much easier.
And it really becomes addictive once you get started.
It makes it more easier for the children to be more independent around the classroom, to access materials and resources, and therefore it's not interrupting teachers and groups who are working together. It just makes the classroom management a lot more easier. I would be absolutely lost. As a new teacher to the school in August, I found it so helpful in terms of finding resources for my class, resources for lessons, and if the school wasn't symbolised, I would be lost. So I understand now how children feel coming to the school. Children from a very, very early age are learning these symbols, and it's helping them as they progress through the school years.
I like this school because I like the symbols and because they help us in the mornings know what we're doing, and in the mornings when we're before the bell rings, I like to look through the window to see what we're doing. I like about them because they help you link words and because they show you the pictures about spelling and finger spaces and that.
We believe in its success so much and how it's supported our children in Fife so much, and our adults and our staff, our teaching staff. I suppose if I'm really honest, it has been far more successful than anything we ever imagined.
The symbols really, really help, and I really like them.